1, 2, 3, check. One, two, three. Okay. Everything works. Time to business, guys. Hello and welcome to my channel QANSIGLIERE. Today I'm going to make some small introduction to types of software testing. But first of all, let me tell you about the opportunity to communicate with me and ask any question related to IT technologies. To communicate with me, you can use my Google channel. Here you can click and open all available links from my channel, and first link is for Google form. If you open it, here you can provide your question, and from my side I will try to review it and provide answers in my next videos. So today I'm going to tell you about types of software testing. To demonstrate it, let's use our preferable website draw.io and let's create a new diagram. Let's call it types of software testing. Save. And let's create a huge rectangle with name types of software testing. Done. So what we can do here, we can change the color and we can change the text. Done. Let's change the size of the text. Okay, now it looks nice. So first level of types of testing, it could be approach how we are going to perform testing, how we are going to execute our test cases. Some people divide it on two different areas, but from my point of view, you could use both types in your work. You can combine them. And first level of testing types, it's manual testing and automation testing. Let's create such rectangles here. Let's change the size of the banner. Okay, manual testing. Okay, and automation testing. Done. But technically, as I mentioned before, we can combine both of these types. Next types of testing, it could be based on approach how we work with the system, what should be tested. Because if we run the system and if we do some actions, if we execute some test cases to the system, it means what we use dynamic testing. But if we work with acceptance criteria or we analyze the code, it means what we use static testing. Its testing types were based on the status of system what should be tested. So let's combine all these two areas. And here we could use static testing or dynamic testing. what is the size of the text? 28, 28, 28 and 20, sorry, and 28. So we can merge these types and done. Also, we can divide our testing on the. We can define our testing based on the access to the code what should be used to launch the system. And here we have 3 levels of testing. First level, it called white box testing. It means the case when you have the full access to the code what is used for the system. Black box testing approach, it means scenario when you know actually nothing how this system is developed, but you have some requirements and you have some information how it should behave. And we have gray box testing. It's combination of white box and black box testing. You have access, but you base your testing on acceptance criteria, on documentation and so on, but you can change your testing approach, depends on information from the code. So let's also combine these two, let's combine these two types. Here and here. Also let's change this one, change this one, and done. Now let's copy this and this. Okay, as I mentioned before, we can use 3 different approaches how we can base our testing. It means white box testing, black box testing, and gray box testing. Okay, let's install it here. Done. So based on documentation, based on acceptance criteria or requirements, we can provide functional and non-functional testing. Let's add this information here. One, two, three. Functional testing and non-functional testing. Done. In case of functional testing, what could we do? first level of functional testing, it is unit testing. It's the case when you check function or a model what is used inside of the system. Let's edit unit testing. To do that, you need to have access to the code, because without it you can't create any unit test case. Next one type of functional testing, it could be integration testing. Okay. What integration testing means? If you here use only one function or one model, what should be tested? Here you use combination of models or functions, and it means integration testing. You check how one model works to another one model, and do we see any conflicts between them or not. Next level for functional testing, it is system testing. It is scenario when you check the whole system, how it works with how the system works and what requirements are completed, what requirements are not covered by your implementation, and so on. So let's a little bit move it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, what we can put in the non-functional testing. Non-functional testing, it means the case when we check how the system works, but how it works with environment, how it is effective, how many resources we use to launch and support this program. And let me add additional arrows here. Okay, done. Completed. What we can add to non-functional testing? First of all, and very important area, it is security testing. Here you validate what all information is protected, and to get this information you need to provide correct authentication keys. What else? What else we could add here? Performance testing. Here we check how the system, what should be tested, uses resources on your machine or on your phone, on your laptop. You validate behavior when you generate a load, when you emulate behavior of all your possible clients during the day, and check what the system doesn't have any memory leak. This is means performance testing. Done. Next one type of the testing, it's compatibility testing. It means scenario when we check how your system works with different operating system, with different hardware and different applications. What else we can add here? To performance testing, we can add the following types, like load testing, stress testing, sorry for the sound, let's wait a few minutes. Okay, probably this guy finished. What else we can check? Scalability testing. We check if we increase, for instance, so if we add more resources to the system, will the application works better or faster? And stability testing. Okay, done. What else we can add here? Let me check my notes. In case of functional testing, we can add smoke testing and regression testing. And also we can add UI testing. And we can check also accessibility testing. Done. What else? What else? What else? Menu automation testing, functional, non-functional, unit integration, system. Performance, security, usability, and compatibility. Okay. Probably we can move these items. Okay, done. And let's add it here, and let's add it here. Probably that's it. Let's add also end-to-end testing. Let's remove this one. Okay, done. Done. And done. So probably we prepared the scheme of types of software testing. So let's discuss it. First of all, we can divide our testing on two different areas. First area, it is the case when you use manual testers to check how your program works. In this case, you use manual testing. In case if you want to automate manual test cases and replace any manual activities by scripts, in this case you use automation testing. But good news, you can also combine these two approaches and use in your Scrum teams. Another level how we can define our testing types, in case what we do with the system. For instance, if the system is not launched or is not developed yet, but we already have some requirements, you can perform static testing. It means the case when the system is not launched and you work with other part of the application. For instance, you can analyze the code, you can check the quality of different functions, you can try to improve some algorithm, but at the same time the system is not launched in the moment when you do this work. Dynamic testing, it means scenario when you run the system and you test it itself. Also, we can divide testing on the approach when you have or when you do not have access to the code. We have white box testing, it means when you have the full access to the code. Black box testing is very popular, it means scenario when you as QA engineer doesn't have access to the code, but you have requirements or you have instruction or you have some documents what describe how the system should behave. Gray box testing, it is combination of white box and black box testing. It means you can create test cases depends on requirements, but if you have access to the code, you can also create some additional test cases to check your application. Next level of testing, it's functional testing. Here we check how application or software follows to requirements. And here we can start from unit test cases. When you develop any application or any software, you create some function, you create some libraries and so on. And the first basic level of testing, it is unit testing. This case of testing could be applied only in the case when you have access to the code. So it could work only in case if you have white box approach. Next one level, it's the case when you combine 2, 3 or more functions together and you see how they work to each other. In this case, it's called integration testing. Next one scenario is the case when you check the system itself, what it could be launched, what it provide some information to you, depends on requirements, and it means system testing. Also depends on the number of test cases and depends on the coverage. We can execute smoke testing or regression testing. About these types I will provide more information later in next videos. Next one level, it's user acceptance testing. Here we validate what the system or the application or the software it follows to requirements, to acceptance criteria. And end-to-end testing, it means scenario when we test behavior of the application in case if regular user uses it in their daily basis. Here we try to reproduce user scenarios. Interesting stuff. If you combine these 4 types together, and if we add such rectangle here, right, one moment, let's put it in this way and move to background. Okay, so if we add rectangle here, we will get testing pyramid. It means the best approach how you should organize your tests in any project, and you should create as many as possible scenarios for unit testing. Next one level, second one, it should contain less scenarios when you combine your models or when you combine your functions together. Also third one level, and it should contain less number of test cases if we compare it with integration testing, it means system testing. And the top level of the pyramid, it should be end-to-end testing or user acceptance testing. It should contain less number of scenarios. Anyway, another type of the testing, it means non-functional testing. When we check how the system works, but this work is not related to acceptance criteria or to requirements. Here we can check what, for instance, all access to any information is closed and you can't get this information without authentication. It means security testing. Also, you can measure how soon your system returns feedback to the user. For instance, if you work with web browser, here we can measure the time what we spend to open any web page, and it means performance testing. Also, it could be divided to load testing, stress testing, scalability testing, and stability testing. Next, one type of non-functional testing, it's compatibility testing. Here we check how our application, software, or system works with different operating systems, with different versions of web browsers, and so on. UI testing or usability testing. Here we check what all buttons are displayed correctly, what all text is shown, it's not cut, and so on. So here we validate the user interface. And last one level, it's accessibility testing. It means scenario when we check how our application or software works in case if people have some restrictions. And probably for today that's it. As usual, I will share this scheme in the video description. Please guys, feel free to write your comments, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and see you later. Have a nice week guys. Bye.